you are aware, in this program we have been discussing the set books, Fathers of Nations, the Samaritan, Silent Song and other stories, and also the Parliament of Owls. We also discuss issues to do with career guidance and counseling in our schools. Those are just part of the programs that we share all on our YouTube, and I believe that you've been able to enjoy them. And also, you've been educated, and something that you've learned from our presentations. And I believe that as we begin our live presentations today, there is much that we can share. We are privileged that YouTube has given us the privilege and opportunity to go live, and that is a good thing, because we will now have more time to discuss. We'll have a lot of time also to share with you, and we thank God for that. And so, as we begin our live streaming, remember that we are not going to veer off from our normal programs. They will still continue, but additionally we'll be bringing some more, because when you live stream, of course, you'll have to have plenty of time. And when you have a lot of time, there is also that bit of trying to share as much as you can. So we want to welcome you and to invite you to be part of our programs. I just want to share with you some of my experiences as a teacher. One thing that I know is that when you do your best to your students, the ones that you teach at your school, and then there is a way in which God also helps you while your children are out there being handled by some other people. Remember, teaching is noble, and because it is noble, it is a noble responsibility. And that is why it is said that maybe if you do a wrong thing as a teacher, your punishment will be more than those who are never teachers. So sometimes, we do these things and we take a lot for granted. A lot has been put on our shoulders, and so much is also expected from us. So ladies and gentlemen who are watching, as we'll be streaming our programs, remember that the work that we'll be giving is meant to be relayed to our students. That is why we want to make it as easy and as simpler as possible for you, so that what you give to our students is something that has been synthesized so much for them to understand. So I want to welcome you to our live streaming, and I believe that this is going to be a great experience for us. It's something that we've prayed for, it's something that we've been looking forward to, and now it is with us. And so we must give it our best. At Top Notch, we believe in quality, and when we give out, we give our best, so that our audience also appreciate the fact that we can give the best that we can. So ladies and gentlemen, I am your presenter, Yugazedo Molo. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so, because we have a lot to share with you, and you will learn a lot as we go live. Of course, we'll have some night live streaming, and that is good. And that is good for us, because we have a lot for you. Ladies and gentlemen, today let me just talk briefly about Fathers of Nations. I know quite a number of you have read this book and have been trying to internalize what is it that this book is all about. And I know that we are teachers and we have the dimensions of interpretation. But I want to share here that if you want to read this book and understand it, there are certain books that when you read, you would want to understand events for you to interpret the text. But for Fathers of Nations, read characters. And when you read characters, the interpretation that I can assure you, because it is something that I know now. I've read through this text. If you want to understand this text, understand the characters. Because there is a way in which the writer develops his characters. From the moment that he introduces a character, builds that particular character, then takes that particular character through certain frustrations in life. Then after that, this character is handed over to another character. And in this case, we are talking about Third Long Way. And From there now, these characters are recruited to AGDA, or the so-called Path Alpha. So let me just pick a character like Professor Karanja Kimani in this text. Now, the writer first introduces this character when he is at the Seamount Hotel. He just arrived. Of course, there are those arrival details, and the guide calls him, tells him that there is a briefcase, whether he's seen that briefcase or not. Then, having introduced him to this briefcase, then the guide tells him that he needs to familiarize himself with the details of the briefcase. And from there now he's given the lock, and he's told to go through the two documents that are there. That is one, Way Omega, and the other one is Path Alpha. And then when that conversation ends, the Professor Kimani tries to find out the name of this person calling himself a guide. Of course, what he can get or guess that is a Nigerian, and he calls them a cocky Nigerian. Then the guy just hangs up on him. Then from there, the writer now introduces us to the life of Professor Karanja Kimani and his adventures at the university. We are told that he's educated from the University of Oxford, and now he's at the University of Nairobi, and he's joining the university and gets some promotion because of his hard work. And therefore, there are a lot of things that he would want to change, even the motto of the university to be something that serves the society and not just the name. So that one comes out very well. Then from there, he works so hard and makes a lot of changes at the university, even when his contemporaries believed that he would not go very far with this kind of campaign. But of course, he wins the campaign. The motto of the university is changed to be relevant to the society, and again, he even wins one of the beauties at the university, that is Asia Omondi at that particular time. And therefore, actually, when he goes to Tunis, they have the nuptials, and from there now, their daughter, Tuni, is conceived. And that theme of love and family relations is brought out very well at that level. Then there is that change also that has been brought at the level of the changes that it tries to bring at the University of Nairobi. That one comes out very well. The theme of education comes out because it's someone who's gone to school from Oxford, now he's at the University of Nairobi. So education and the importance of education. Education changes the way you view things. Your perception actually changes when you have that grasp of what you have learned, and that is why Professor Karanja Kimani has been able to make changes at the university. Now, from there, now he moves us to his family life. That is what the writer does. He moves us to his family life, and it's a family that can share. Now that Tuni is also a grown-up, I think she's been from college, and she's able to grasp quite a number of ideas, especially the idea of security. And for her, I mean, security is a private responsibility that every other individual should take charge of his or her security. But the father believes that security is a government responsibility. So you can see that departure from the father, the views of the father, the views of the daughter. So Tuni has actually grown, and from there we can see the theme of security or insecurity coming out very well from that perspective. So that discussion actually brings to us that the fact that Tuni has grown, and Tuni have some argument with the father. So that is the first bit of the family level. Then the second bit is that Tuni goes for the seminar and tries to get the father's car. Of course, it's called a jalopy of a car because it's a very old car and keeps on breaking down every now and again. And the father is unable to give this car. And in the process, the writer is trying to build some level of conflict. In the process, Tuni uses the public service, maybe means of transport, while she's going to the seminar, and she's crushed. And that is how she dies. So this again brings that pain and suffering in the family. So pain and suffering comes as an issue or as a theme in this context. So it's something that is explainable from what Tuni has gone through. Of course, the pain comes on the parents, and we are told that they mourned for quite a while after the death of Tuni. So that one is something that you can grasp from that level. Then it is out of that that accident that Asia believes that Professor Karanja Kimani is not doing very well in life. Of course, there was that argument at some point that Walomu, the MP, newborn Walomu, is doing very well in life. And he's got 3 wives, 4 cars, luxurious cars that he drives. But Professor Karanja Kimani has remained poor simply because he's teaching. So Asia believes that the husband should actually leave teaching and go into politics. But the husband feels that politics is not for him, politics is a dirty game. And of course, Newton Walomu can be rich. Any other country has those people who live very good lives, but that doesn't mean that their lives is quality. That is according to Professor Karanja Kimani. And therefore, when Tuni now dies, Asia gets the opportunity now to leave the husband, and claims that if Tuni could have gotten the car from the husband, the Tuni couldn't have died. But Karanja believes that should not be the reason of leaving, and therefore she shouldn't even leave as early, because Tuni has not taken long in her grave, and when Asia now wants to leave, it's not really a very good picture. But again, Asia leaves at the end of the day. The following morning she leaves and gets married to newborn Walomu. So it is from that level that the life of Professor Karanja Kimani turns and round, and now he goes wants to confront newborn Walomu in his office, and there's a confrontation why Walomu wants to steal. That is the word that he uses, his wife. But Walomu now gives the statistics of wife stealing. There is that humor, but also it is a way of trying to be sarcastic. That wife stealing is not something that is new. It's been there. In fact, the worst wife stealer is actually the Greek, followed by the Britons, and now the Americans come at level 3. So he's giving those statistics to confirm and also to ridicule Professor Karanja Kimani. So you see now the conflict is heightened. So from that moment now there is a fight between the two of them, and at the end of it all, it is Professor Karanja Kimani that has been arrested and taken to prison. And from prison again, we are told that the university demotes him. This is a university that is really worked hard to build, but now the university actually demotes him. So you can see how his suffering actually is heightened by the author. So from there now, he is a very desperate person, a very disillusioned person, doesn't actually have something substantive in his life. And therefore, when now the writer brings Third Longway, Third Longway talks to him about Patalfa and the tenets of Patalfa, that Patalfa's agenda is to change the way Africa does its politics, so that we don't have cases of rigged elections, we don't have cases of foul play, we don't have cases of probably people engaging in violence, or what we call the civil war. And Professor Kimani Karanja gets this very palatable, and that is how Karanja now joins Patalfa, that is sponsored by AGDA, Agency for Governance and Development in Africa. So from there now, we meet him at the summit. Disillusionment comes first. The writer frustrates, that's what I believe in, frustrates this person now to not have that belief in his government, because he believes that it is a government that has actually frustrated him. The university that he believed in has frustrated him, and therefore he gets now a very good reason to join Patalfa. So that is how the character of Professor Karanja Kimani has been built. Now the same applies to Gobile Melusi. If you look at what the writer presents about Comrade Gumbile Melusi. Of course, we're told that Gumbile Melusi and the comrade and the bomber, who is actually the president of Zimbabwe, they fought together for independence. So there is that theme of colonialism, fighting together for independence. Of course, Zimbabwe gains independence, and after that, of course, they're still friends while they're fighting. Smith, who is a representative of the colonial systems in this play, in this novel. And after that, of course, the bomber forms the government, but runs down the economy. So much so that even the SAPs, structural adjustment programs, cannot resuscitate the economy of Zimbabwe. And that is where the point of departure between the bomber and Gumbile Melusi. So from that perspective, now Gumbile decides now to form a political party, NIP, to also vie for the presidency, but again he fails, and having failed, now the president now views him as an enemy, as an opponent, someone who is fighting him, and therefore makes sure that it frustrates him even more. So the frustration begins when Gumbile fails. Then the bomber believes that he is a Dembele, and is the bomber who is the president is a Shona. Of course, that tribalism as a theme also comes out very well at that perspective. Then from there now, Gumbile gets into business. The bomber runs down his business. With that again, a lot of frustrations, and that now relegates Gumbile Melusi to the slums. And even the bomber follows him to the slums. And it is at the slums again that the bomber runs down the slums, believing that those who were at the slums did not vote for him. They voted for the opposition. I remember Gumbile is staying at the slums. Of course, the wife is there during the time that they're running down the slums. And finally, Gumbile's wife, Ziliza, is killed during that operation. So Gumbile is someone that holds a lot of bitterness against the president. So it is at that level that he meets Tad Longway and explains to Tad Longway all the history of Zimbabwe and how they have fought together with the bomber who is the president, and everything they did together. And finally, the frustration that is gotten from his president, and that is what has brought him to the level where he is now. A very poor person. Even the way he eats, when Tad Longway talks to him, is a demonstration that Gumbile is actually suffering. And from that perspective now, Tad talks to him about the Path Alpha and the tenets of the Path Alpha, and he readily joins Path Alpha. And if you look at the other characters, even Tahir, the same scenario. We also have Pastor Chinek, the same scenario. Let me just give a brief of Tahir again. Tahir goes to Abdulaziz Academy, of course, then joins the University of Paris. He is some intelligent young man and would want to make nuclear weapons for Libya. And when he comes back, he joins the Feast of Allah. Feast of Allah is an organization that has been formed by the president to develop nuclear weapons. So he becomes part of that, and he's a young man who is very ambitious, who wants to develop nuclear weapons for Zimbabwe, for Libya, and he works there. Even when there is opposition, this guy comes at a time when the president is celebrating his 20 years in power. That's a long time, because that means this is a very authoritarian leader, and also a dictatorial leader who can lead for a very long time and show some aspects of bad governance. For 20 years you are in power, and there is opposition believing that it is time for this guy to go. But Tahir says no, this is the right guy for Libya, because of his ambition to develop nuclear weapons. Then it is from that perspective that another thing happens, a twist happens when the Al-Qaeda attacks America. And when Al-Qaeda attacks America, then the president fears that there will be reprisals attacks from America. And therefore he dismantles the Feast of Allah, this organization that makes the nuclear weapons. So when this happens now, it means that Tahir loses his job And when he loses his job, he becomes very bitter with the president for having dismantled the Feast of Allah. But before he even leaves the Feast of Allah, there is something we call there the accident. He suffered an accident when he suffered this unrequited love to this woman called Mahmoud. And Mahmoud did not respond. Of course, Mahmoud actually gave a sweet no. But looks like Tahir is naive in matters of relationships. And he reads this sweet no. Sweet yes for a no. And what happens now? He actually begins to view this as a woman and a junior, and tries now to slap her. And in the process of slapping this woman, the woman slaps back, of course, in retaliation. And when that happens, the left eye of Tahir is slit. And when this happens, he loses his left eye. So you can see he's lost his job, he's lost his eye again. Then again he's taken to hospital. After 1 month he's discharged. When he comes back, he takes this woman to court. Of course, there is this bit that there was a heritage week, and the woman did not have her bail. So Tahir actually wins the case, but lapses into a depression after that. And therefore he's got to get back to his village, that is Bagazi. And he goes back to Bagazi, and that is what the text tells us. In frustrations, actually is depressed. He suffers depression. So you can see it is from that perspective that now he gets started long way. So you can see that the development of these characters actually cited, there is a pattern that the writer has created. So once you've understood the pattern, then understanding this book becomes very easy. Even if I were to pick Gumbile, of course I'm giving you that as your homework. Go and pick the life of Gumbile, and you will see that it actually follows the same pattern. So I wanted you to see the best approach to deal with this text. Now, as I conclude, there is something about the writer calls it the poles of influence in this text. And you realize that he gives the poles of influence. Number one pole of influence is Nigeria, because of its population. And one of the characters, the major character, is actually picked from that pole of influence. So there is a pattern in which even he picks his character. So you can use the pole of influence now to know the way that the author has picked his characters. Now look at the second character, Karanja Kimani, is picked from Kenya. Kenya is also considered a pole of influence because of the people, his friends. Like Kenya is believed to be a friend to America, and therefore you cannot attack Kenya, because if you attack Kenya, America will attack you. And from that pole of influence that he calls the friends that you keep, because Kenya keeps America as a friend, then people fear Kenya, and Kenya now becomes a pole of influence. And he picks now Karanja Kimani from that pole of influence. Now, another pole of influence is, of course, from Nigeria, I said he picked Pastor Chineke Chiamaka from that pole of influence called Nigeria. Now, another pole of influence is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's president at that particular time was considered a power because of what are called sheer obstinacy, that stubbornness, that it can actually face the West and talks boldly against the West. So Zimbabwe now becomes a pole of influence, and from that pole of influence, he picks a character, and that is Comrade Gumbile Melusi. We also have another pole of influence, that is Libya. Libya is got this particular influence, what the writer calls doesn't follow the rules. At that particular at one particular time, there was a president of Libya. I don't want to mention that now. That would not follow the rules. Would not follow the rules of engagement with the West, and therefore it became a problem, an enemy to the West. And because of that, Libya becomes a pole of influence. And from that pole of influence, we get a character called Saif Tahir. So there is a way in which the writer has been able to weave this text. And I believe that, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, you've been able to see the connections that are brought insofar as this text is concerned. Thank you very much, and may God bless you as you come to the end of that presentation. I am your presenter, Yuga Zeromolo. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so, because you have so much that we can present to you and enjoy our programs. You are part of our discussion. And if you have any comment, kindly give that comment and we will respond to the same. If you have any reservations about our presentation, you know, it is from those comments that you give that we also improve on our discussions and our presentation. May God bless you as we take a break this evening.